was going to rank the different series of Dragon Ball based on worldwide popularity, I would say number one would be Dragon Ball Z, two would be Dragon Ball, and by country mile would be Dragon Ball GT. Over the years, Dragon Ball GT has gotten a really bad rap, and I completely understand it to a certain point. First, some background. Back in 1994, Akira Toriyama completed his series Dragon Ball. So the anime was going to end in about a year on television. So the production company, Toei, decided that Dragon Ball was too much of a moneymaker to end, so it started production on Dragon Ball GT to continue the adventures of Goku. So it was a money grab. But is there anything of worth in GT? Let's find out. From here on out, I'm going to measure the pros and cons of the series. So let's begin. First, pro. It continues the story of Dragon Ball Z. The popularity for Dragon Ball was at an all-time high, so giving more of what people want isn't necessarily a bad thing. Con. Once again, it continues the story of Dragon Ball Z. In this case, giving people what they think they want was a bad thing. Since GT wasn't based on any existing material and didn't have any major involvement from Akira Toriyama, the series, primarily the first part, suffered. Pro. Unlike the end of DBZ, Dragon Ball GT had a definitive and satisfying ending. DBZ ended as a sort of a passing of the torch over to the new generation, but a lot of the fans weren't happy about what Goku did at the end of the series. Con. If you look at the ending again to Dragon Ball Z, it makes sense and it does fit the character of Goku. Even if he wasn't going to train to battle some new threat, he would train someone else and pass on what he knows to the next generation, just as Master Roshi did with him. Truth to tell, I'm actually fine with either ending, even though I can understand why some may like one and not the other. Pro. The production company wanted to do something different and change the tone and direction a bit, and have it to be more like early Dragon Ball. There was also a very vocal group of fans who to this day will say that Dragon Ball was at its best, at its peak, before Dragon Ball Z, before Gohan. Con. That vocal group turned out to be the minority. When Dragon Ball began, the main characters and the readers were the same age. As the characters grew and matured, so did the reading audience. So while they may have been nostalgic for early Dragon Ball, what they wanted now was more of the Z portion. It's not coincidence that about a third of the way through the series of GT, it became more like Dragon Ball Z. Unfortunately, by then it was too little too late. Pro. The introduction to new characters. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Con. Two things. One, the new characters weren't that interesting. And two, the already established characters really didn't have any purpose. Some made cameos, others, such as Vegeta, they would do something, but then they wouldn't play a role for the rest of the series to any real degree. Unfortunately, here's another con. Oob does nothing. At the very end of Dragon Ball Z, it's assumed that Goku is passing the torch to Oob, and the further adventures in the Dragon Ball universe would follow him. Goku and his friend's story were over, hence the Z in Dragon Ball Z. So going back and making Goku the main character again makes it repetitive. Pro. Dragon Ball GT had a great soundtrack and it had very interesting character designs on some of the characters. While GT only had one opening, it had 4 ending themes and each sounded completely different from the first one to the last one. And they didn't really sound like music you would typically hear in the Dragon Ball series. Basically, I'm saying it didn't sound Dragon Ball-y, if that is a word, I guess it is now. The designs of the existing characters looked like a logical extension of the series. They looked how you would imagine they will look years later. Here's a sample of some of the music. Con. The animation moving from Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball GT didn't increase significantly. Taking a look at how the animation was at the very first episode of Dragon Ball and at the very end of Dragon Ball Z, you do see a noticeable difference. That difference isn't really noticeable at the beginning of Dragon Ball GT. It gets a little better in spots as the series goes on, but not really. One more con. No significant involvement from Akira Toriyama. He did a couple of character designs and he gave the series its name, Dragon Ball GT, as in Grand Touring. But that's it, and I believe because it missed the heart and enjoyment that he gave every series, that's the reason why it ultimately failed. It is interesting, though, that the Grand Touring aspect left after the Baby Saga. So, is this series recommendable? Yes, I do recommend the series. It's not as bad as you heard. It is fun and exciting, especially the very beginning of the series and the very end of the series. However, you need to know what you're in for. I wouldn't say GT is even a side story. Think of it more as either a filler series or an alternate continuity. You can consider it a continuation or not. It's entirely up to the viewer to decide. Well, that's all I have for right now. Until next time, please subscribe to my graphic description and Dr. Harris YouTube channel. Check out my work at www.drharris.net. I'm also on DeviantArt and Tumblr at Mr. Grunt. I am also on Facebook and Twitter. And until next time, goodbye.
Take the Grand Tour, Grand Tour, GT. Step into the Grand Tour, Grand Tour, Grand Tour. Step into the Grand Tour, Dragon Ball GT.
Hi there, my name's Steve. I'm a dog, in case you're, well, stupid.